Feels like everything changed in just a few hours. After months of rumors, waiting, and people wondering what was really going to happen, now we finally have answers. And honestly, some of the things that were said today could completely change the way fans look at this season moving forward. So without further ado, let's get straight to the point. Come with me, and I'll tell you everything. But first, click that like button and tell me in the comments. Are you happy that Aaron Rodgers is still with the Steelers? I want to know your opinion. Aaron Rodgers finally broke his silence, and what he revealed during his first press conference with the Pittsburgh Steelers may have completely changed the direction of the franchise heading into the 2026 season. The biggest headline from everything Rodgers said is simple. This is expected to be his final NFL season. After months of speculation, delays, uncertainty, and non-stop questions about whether he would even return to football, Rodgers confirmed that the 2026 season with Pittsburgh is likely going to close the book on his legendary career. And the way he explained the entire process gave Steelers fans a much clearer picture of what has really been happening behind the scenes all off-season. Rodgers made it very clear that the reason he waited so long to make his decision was because he wanted complete freedom throughout the off-season. He explained that since he was not under contract, he had every right to take as much time as he wanted before committing to another season. He also emphasized that he stayed honest with Mike McCarthy, Omar Khan, and Art Rooney during the entire process about where his mindset was and what he was considering. What stands out here is that Rodgers never rushed himself into a decision just to satisfy outside pressure. He admitted that even while leaning toward returning, he still wanted to leave the door open for retirement all the way until the beginning of OTAs. He did not want to sign earlier in the offseason and then potentially regret it weeks later. According to Rodgers, once he felt physically ready again and saw the moves Pittsburgh made this offseason, that is when the decision became clear to him. But then came the revelation that may have shocked Steelers fans the most. Rodgers openly admitted that the hiring of Mike McCarthy completely reopened the possibility of returning to Pittsburgh. That was one of the strongest statements from the entire press conference. Rodgers explained that during conversations with Omar Khan last year, he actually encouraged the Steelers to interview McCarthy for the head coaching position. He spoke emotionally about his respect for Mike Tomlin and said he appreciated the opportunity he had previously in Pittsburgh under Tomlin. Rodgers even admitted that when Tomlin stepped away, he initially believed his own time in Pittsburgh was probably over too. But everything changed once the organization hired Mike McCarthy. Rodgers said that decision opened his mind back up to returning for another season. That alone tells you just how important McCarthy was in bringing Rodgers back for 2026. The connection between the two clearly mattered throughout this process. Rodgers repeatedly emphasized how much respect he has for McCarthy, and how interested he became once the opportunity emerged to play under him again. And when you look at how this offseason unfolded, it becomes easier to understand the bigger picture inside the Steelers organization. Rodgers strongly hinted that he was closely monitoring every single move Pittsburgh made throughout free agency, trades, and especially the NFL draft. He specifically said he liked the offensive direction the Steelers took and paid attention to the offensive-focused additions the team made around him. One particularly interesting moment came when Rodgers mentioned Michael Pittman Jr. and praised his catch radius while discussing how he fits alongside DK Metcalf. That comment alone showed how deeply Rodgers evaluated the roster before making his final decision. He was not casually returning just for another season. He studied the roster construction and clearly believed the Steelers were serious about competing at a high level offensively. Rodgers even admitted that after the NFL draft concluded, that was when he officially came to the conclusion that he wanted to come back. That timeline matters because it confirms the draft itself played a major role in his decision-making process. And perhaps the most important thing Steelers fans should notice is this. Rodgers said he believes this team is close. He openly stated that he feels Pittsburgh made significant improvements offensively and now has the ability to compete at the highest level. According to Rodgers, the possibility of competing for a Super Bowl was the main reason he returned for one more season. That changes the entire tone surrounding this season. This is not Rodgers returning simply for a farewell tour. He made it sound like he truly believes this roster has legitimate potential. And considering how carefully he evaluated the situation before signing, that confidence carries weight. Another major detail from the press conference involved Rodgers' life off the field. He revealed that he and his wife had already moved back into their Pittsburgh home in early May before he officially arrived at the facility for OTAs. That detail may seem small, but it reinforces how serious this commitment became once Rodgers finally made his decision. By the time the public speculation was still ongoing, Rodgers had already quietly settled back into Pittsburgh and prepared himself for another season. Then came another fascinating portion of the press conference when Rodgers addressed his role with the younger quarterbacks in the room, specifically Will Howard and Drew Aller. Rodgers said mentoring them may not officially be part of his job description, but it is something he genuinely wants to do because he values leaving an impact on the future. He specifically stated that he will mentor Drew Aller as much as Aller wants him to, while also continuing to stay involved with Will Howard's development. That statement immediately fueled conversation about Pittsburgh's long-term quarterback plans. Because when you step back and look at the full picture, it becomes obvious that the Steelers are attempting to build two timelines at once. Rodgers gives them a chance to compete immediately in 2026, while Howard and Aller spend the year learning behind one of the most accomplished quarterbacks in NFL history. And based on everything discussed during the press conference, it certainly sounds like Pittsburgh views Rodgers' mentorship as a major asset. The organization appears fully invested in giving those young quarterbacks a full season of development before potentially opening the door to a future competition between them. What makes this even more interesting is that Rodgers himself acknowledged that the future remains open-ended beyond this season regarding the younger quarterbacks. While nothing has officially been decided, the entire structure of this situation strongly suggests the Steelers want Howard and Aller learning directly from Rodgers throughout 2026 before making larger decisions afterward. And finally, Rodgers delivered the statement everyone had been waiting to hear. He said, "This is it." Year 22 is expected to be the final chapter of his NFL career. But even then, there was still a slight sense of uncertainty lingering around the conversation. Rodgers himself previously hinted at retirement before eventually returning again, which leaves at least a tiny possibility that another strong season could potentially change things one more time. Still, this press conference sounded much more definitive than previous comments he has made in the past. Now, Steelers fans are left with a season that suddenly feels much bigger than anyone expected only a few months ago. Aaron Rodgers believes this roster can contend. He believes the offensive changes matter. He believes Mike McCarthy changed everything. And most importantly, he believes this final season still has something meaningful left to accomplish. And if this really is the final chapter of Aaron Rodgers' career, Steelers fans are about to witness one of the most important seasons this franchise has had in years. Now, I want to hear from you. Do you believe Rodgers can finish his career with a special run in Pittsburgh, or do you think this season ends differently? Drop your thoughts down in the comments. Make sure to subscribe for non-stop Steelers coverage all season long. Leave a like if you're excited for training camp. And don't go anywhere because the next video on your screen is one every Steelers fan needs to watch right now.